we're on. You can say hey to the viewers for me on YouTube.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Hello to the spillers.
Okay, we're about to get this party started. We take a deep breath so I won't be sounding fat on you. Now, spillers, it is time that we speak with our special guest. I'm super excited for her and that you all get to listen to her. My soror Esquire attorney, Mrs. Cara Connors, for your honor. Welcome to the Spill Podcast. I'm immensely excited to have you here as a guest. I appreciate you taking time out of your super duper busy schedule. Now, before we get started, Attorney Cars, I am a mental health advocate. Yes. Anybody that enters through my doors to the podcast room has to do a mental check. Now, I know that you're extremely busy. You have been, you're going to be. It hasn't stopped yet, it hasn't slowed down yet. But other than that, how are you doing?
I am balanced. I am looking for expectation. However, it is very apparent that the task at hand is not one that is easy. So I am balanced. I think I have a range of emotions on a day-to-day basis, but I am expecting blessings from this experience. And so I am taking that, I'm counting it all joy. So whatever God got for me, He got for me. So I think I'm at peace with whatever God got for me.
Yay! So, yes. and see, that's what I'm about, that balance. But when you have that spiritual balance as your lead, you're good in every situation. Yes. So that is amazing to hear. That gives me so much peace. I am happy. So let's go ahead and get into this interview, girl.
Let's get into it.
So to my spillers who does not know Attorney Cara Connors, I'm going to read just a small excerpt about her. If you want more information, because I'm not reading everything, you can go to her website, which is www.caraconnorsforjudge.com. Yes. www.caraconnorsforjudge.com. Okay. Yes. Attorney Connors is an experienced attorney who built a career hallmarked by serving individual and governmental clients with skill and integrity. As you all can tell, balance. She was born in Memphis, Tennessee, and began her college career at Hendrix College in Conway, Arkansas, where she studied and majored in politics and minored in Africana Studies. Yes. In 2006, Attorney Connors entered law school at Williams L. Bowen School of Law, located on the campus of the University of Arkansas at Little Rock. She's a licensed y'all for the state of Tennessee as well as Arkansas. Attorney Connors has worked as a hearing examiner, deputy prosecuting attorney, a parole board revocation hearing judge, and criminal defense attorney, just to name a few. She's very active in our community, and she still is and serves on several boards, law and bar associations, commissions, honey, Jack and Jill, and of course, an active member of the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Right. Again, any more information you want, y'all look on her website. Y'all can get it all, okay? Mm-hmm. So, Attorney Connors, again, thank you so much for stopping by. We appreciate it. Yeah, we do know that no problem. It's an honor, your honor. You're running for the 12th Division Circuit Court Judge seat. That seat is currently being held by the Honorable Alice Gray. Will you please elaborate on this position for the spillers who does not know the role and let us know why you are running for it?
Okay, thank you. This seat is, held by Alice Gray, who is retiring after 30 years of serving in this position. But this seat is a Pulaski County Circuit Court Judge position. It hears your domestic relation cases, so your child support, divorce, custody. It hears civil disputes, so your breach of contracts, any type of landlord-tenant, things where there's usually a written document that governs the dispute. And then you got your probate, which a lot of folks say, what is probate? But those are your guardianships, your adoptions, your wills, when somebody dies, making decisions decisions over the property in person. So that's what the type of cases that court hears. But I'm running for that position because simply going through the years of experience that I have as a litigator, I felt so much, I don't want to say denials, but just a blockage for many people of a certain demographic. And I just want to change that. I want folks to walk into a courtroom and know that their issues are going to be heard and that we're going to, or I will rule fairly and efficiently, and I'll consider all factors in that decision-making process so nobody feels left behind, no one feels unheard or unrepresented or underrepresented. Because there's so many times we go before a court and it just feels intimidating, or it feels that it doesn't matter, or that my issues aren't really well represented. And so I just know how that feels as a litigator representing people every day. And I want to change that. I want to make it equal. I want to equalize it. I want everybody to feel like when they walk into the Cara Connor's courtroom, they have a fair shot. So that's why I'm running for judge.
And that's amazing, because I talked about that earlier, about us actually wanting our voice to be heard despite our demographic, despite whatever. Just give us that freedom to speak, you know. And that's amazing. Gandhi said you gotta be the change that you wish to see.
Oh yeah, and that's my motto.
Yeah, see,
and that's that's what I live by. Be the change you want to see. And you can't, expect things to be different if you yourself aren't willing to make that change for others and be a change agent. So I'm passionate about that. So.
And it's definitely obvious, and we appreciate that, and that's something that we definitely need. Now, it seems that law is your passion, and to me, just from your aura, I'm an empath, so I can feel energy. I feel like that it's probably your calling as well.
Yes.
Can you tell us how long you've been doing it? Why is it so special to you? And who influenced this passion for you?
Wow. So I've been a litigator or a lawyer for the last 13 years. I was licensed in Tennessee first, practiced in Arkansas primarily. But I believe that law can be the gateway to many avenues to change and to rectifying somebody's personal issues, and how the law intertwines with that. So understanding that and being able to help not only others but yourself. And because so many times we face obstacles and we think that we have to go outside of ourselves to resolve them, but learning the law yourself really can be an avenue to change your plight in life if you have one. If there's things that you want to know about or want to change, being educated about the process is important. And so it kind of intertwines with our elections and how things are chosen or employed in our country, and you learn how those laws impact you personally. There's really not a lot people can do to stop you, right? And being knowledgeable about that. And so I just want to take that knowledge and help people and be a problem solver. And what really led me to be a lawyer was my professor at Hendrix. He was encouraging me to just stay in Arkansas and go to law school. I didn't know I wanted to be a lawyer until I got to Hendrix, and I love, helping people, but he made it clear to me that that's an avenue to get there.
Right.
So that's what I've been doing for the last, decade, and want to continue on doing that on the bench.
Yeah. Awesome. And I just kind of want to reiterate for 1 second when you said earlier that we have to read up on the law, or people basically, if you know what the law is or you know what's going on, you really can't be defeated. And that's something, that I spoke about earlier. We have to know it. You just can't think that you know it and try to go whatever avenue you're trying to go. If you actually know the law, read up on it. You don't have to be this politician or into politics, because I'm really not into politics like that. But when I want to know something, I don't care if I have to Google it. I'm gonna Google it. Now I can call you, and it's going to tell you. I probably text him twice a week. Hey, this and this. You know what I'm saying? But in order to know its feelers, you have to research it, read up on it. It won't take long.
No, it won't.
Okay. So as judge, you'll be presiding over many cases Personally, Attorney Connors, I'm very sensitive. My husband, my entire family can tell you. It's like I find the good in everybody. Not saying that everybody is bad. Not saying that people don't make mistakes or wrong choices. However, I do understand that sometimes our consequences can, give us actions that we really weren't prepared for. But how do you detach your emotional feelings when you're using that gravel, when you're presiding over cases? How do you look at a person and say, I see the good in this person, but I have to hold you accountable, without saying, I see the good in this person, so I'm gonna let them go?
Yeah. It's a balance. I mean, it's a balancing act. I am very much, in tune with my emotions, and I'm human just like anyone else. I don't detach, if that's a word. I use reason and logic, but I do couple that with compassion, because you have to have compassion to make fair decisions, because everybody, situation is not a one size fits all situation, and so you apply the same punishment to every single individual. It may not be warranted, or that's not equality many times. And so you have to look at it on a case by case basis. Look at that person's history, characteristics, background, family bringing, emotional, psychological, mental health. All of those factors encompass a person. And so you can't just set that aside when you have to make a decision over someone's life, whether it be in a criminal case, a domestic, or civil. You have to consider all the factors and all the facts and the nature of the circumstances and make a decision. And you balance that with what you know is true. I am a Christian, and I don't plan on not using godly counsel in my decision making process. I plan on using my experience as a lawyer, as what the law says, applying the law, and then coupling that with compassion and integrity and equity. And so, however, wherever that brings me on the pendulum of justice, I pray God it always sways in the direction of fairness. Because that's all we want, is a fair shot. We don't want to not be held accountable for our actions. But we don't want to be thrown away and disregarded and never considered ever again. Because we are a country of second chances. I mean, so we are a second chance. This country was founded upon second chances and giving folks an opportunity for a new life or a new world. Who are we to deny someone opportunity to restart their life? So that's what I plan to do. I can't promise anything. I just only can promise that I'll use fairness and godly discernment in all my decisions.
Absolutely. And that's kind of what we do as educators. Before we decide where we place our students or what they're going through or what class they should be in, what differentiation instruction, we literally start from the bottom. We pull everything. I mean, we consider their home life, their emotional issues. We consider everything before we make those decisions. So to know that it continues through with some people through life, like if they come before courts, that whatever they've been through is going to be considered, that's dope. That's super amazing. And I think that people really need to know that doesn't mean acting a fool and then, doing stuff because you had an issue and you feel like you can get away with it. But to know that you're in front of somebody that is going to consider you, like you said, and consider maybe with godly counsel, with discernment, a second chance. I love it.
Yes.
Okay, so I followed now Supreme Justice,
Okay,
Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Absolutely.
I watched her entire confirmation process very closely. I noticed how a lot of the senators questioned her. They often brought up cases she judged years ago. Some of them she remembered vaguely, but a lot of the things that they were insinuating were lies, and it was later proven. Once you are judged, Your Honor, how do you feel you will be viewed later on in life, possibly a re-election, whatever the case may be, based on how you have judged cases from the time that you become the new judge, years down the line?
I pray that I will be known to be fair and to be analytical and not a rubber stamp judge or a type of judge that doesn't read the case or understand the law. I hope that I'm considered to have been well read and well versed in the law and made the right decisions for people. That's all I want to do. And so, like Kuntaji, we can't go back and regret or look back and say, well, I shouldn't have done that. Or, I mean, you did what you thought was best at the time, and based on the circumstances and facts that are presented to you at the time. You analyze the case, the facts that are being presented to you, and that's the thing. You, as judges, we have to have all the facts to make a good decision for people. And so you have the facts and you apply the law as you understand it to be, and you pray that this is what is the best decision based on what information you have. And so it was unfortunate that she was ridiculed for her decision-making process, because those senators, whomever, attacked her, is what I call it, questioned her in that way. They didn't have all the facts.
Did not.
Because they weren't the fact finders in that case.
Right.
She's having to hear the evidence, what she's presented with, and make a decision based on the facts in her face at that time. You can look back and say, well, this was missed, or this was not the case, or she shouldn't have done this. But when you're sitting in them shoes and you're sitting you having to make a decision on someone's life at that moment, you use what discernment you have at that moment and the facts that you have at that time to make the best decision. And she did what she thought was best, and I commend her for that. And I pray that I have that same type of decision making, discernment and godly counsel that she clearly, she's a woman of God. Clearly she's a woman of discernment, and so I pray I adopt some of her same attributes.
Yeah,
So.
and you're headed down the right road, so you will. And I definitely agree with you, because I actually notated that oftentimes you're ridiculed later for making the best decision for those cases at that time based on the facts presented.
Exactly.
So awesome.
Yes.
Okay, now 2022 has been a very challenging year for our legal system. I think just even now, violence has skyrocketed, not only in Little Rock, but nationally. So with that being said, obviously the prison population is growing in some countries faster than they're, prepared for. As a judge, once you have judged these cases, do you know if the ones that are being prosecuted, the offenders, are actually being rehabilitated? And I ask that because with the crimes now, so many of the offenders are repeat offenders. And I'm just going to be transparent. I have a couple family members. But what are we doing to actually rehabilitate them? Once we slam that gravel, do we know what goes on later? Or do we hope that the legal system is doing what they're supposed to do to get them rehabilitated?
That's a very, poignant question. I mean, that we as decision makers, as judges, as the judiciary, our role is simply to interpret the law and apply it as it is presented to us, because the legislators employ these laws that govern, your penalty and whether you're released on, good time credit or you're, what type of sentence you serve. Our job as the judiciary is simply to apply it to your circumstances. Yeah. And so a lot of what we are bound by the law. We can say whether a law is unconstitutional or a good or bad law, but we can't legislate from the bench. It's improper. So it takes a full circle community ecosystem to really make change for an individual in the criminal justice system. So it is literally an ecosystem. So without one in the other, we can't get a result. So as judiciaries, we are only as good as the laws that are being enacted. And so we don't have legislators employing alternative dispositions and have, prosecutors willing to provide alternatives aside from penalties and minimum sentences, then as judges, we have some judicial discretion to make those, set aside some sentence that might be simply, punitive and not it's retributive, but not rehabilitative.
Right.
So, but if we don't have the tools in our toolkit to employ something that will ensure somebody's, rehabilitation, then we're stuck.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's an ecosystem. It takes several people. It takes legislators. It takes prosecutors. It takes, governors. It takes mayors. It takes individuals, business owners willing to employ people with criminal history backgrounds. It takes churches willing to invest in their congregation, those that are suffering from as victims of crime and as accused of crimes, to get behind. It takes a community.
Absolutely.
And so if you don't have all of the ecosystem working together, I as a judge can only do so much. So once I give them a break, or I give them a second chance, or give them a light sentence, where is the aftercare of that? Who I can't do that. I can't be responsible for him once I say you are worthy of a second chance, or you are worthy of a lighter sentence, if we don't have all the moving parts working together for the common good. So, I mean, this is something I'm very passionate about, but it takes so many people to make it work. So
it takes a village, and I said that earlier. She said the legislators, the mayors, is people that we are locally putting in office. If we're putting people in the office that we know is going to represent us, going to help us, and give some of us that second chance, we have to vote. But if we're not voting, it's unfortunate. Okay, I have a couple more questions, and I'm gonna let you get back to your busyness.
Thank you, girl.
Now, I love the fact that you are running for this position. I've never had the honor of meeting Honorable Gray, but I've heard amazing things about her. Now, being that there's potentially another black woman in this seat, your future honorable honors, because I believe you are the best woman for the job. Do you believe there's underrepresentation of black women or people of color in general, just in the court systems?
Absolutely. Black women make about 3% of the legal system in totality. So we are the most underrepresented demographic of the legal profession. And so, yes, I mean, we are seeing, after 400, 500 years of being in existence, our first black Supreme Court justice. So that tells you where we are on the spectrum. Out of the justices, we have one. And so it's ever present in all of our court systems, in our legal structures. Black women are underrepresented, but there is a new time that is here. It is a year. It is a season.
The black woman.
It is not just a year. It is the season of the black woman.
Yes.
We have arrived.
Yes, ma'am.
And we are not stopping.
At all.
We are not stopping. We are unstoppable.
Yes.
And I can only imagine what my girls will experience.
My girl.
Yeah, girl. Yes, your daughter. I mean, we just have to keep fighting. Keep investing in ourselves and putting ourselves first, and investing in our minds and our bodies and our spirits, so that we can be our best selves. And we can continue to combat the perception that we are underrepresented and undervalued and the most disrespected thing in America. We no longer will have that coinage.
Absolutely
so,
not.
Yes, we are on our way.
Yes, Attorney Connors. Now, this question reminds me a lot of Stacey Abrams. We have seen the negative effects of voter suppression, and because of that, I feel like we, black folk, have made it our business to go above and beyond to make sure that everybody is voting using their legal right to vote by any means necessary. But unfortunately, there's still some citizens that are struggling with having the adequate access to vote or take advantage of their legal right to vote. And that's something that we're still working on, and we're going to keep working until it's done. But do you believe that all citizens have adequate access to legal help in the legal system, just like we need it for voting? Do you feel like we have it in the legal system?
No, that is we have an access to justice entity here where it is their goal to ensure all Arkansans have access to justice. Because when you get outside of like the metropolitan area of Little Rock, you've got these rural communities where they don't see a lawyer for 20 miles, or they don't see, especially black lawyers, or they may not have any black lawyers in their community willing to take their cases, or that they can even afford those lawyers that are in their community. So you see a deficit of access to justice, especially in your rural parts of Arkansas. UALR, the Bowen School of Law, had an initiative for young lawyers to open practices in those rural parts of Arkansas, so that people have access to a lawyer that they can afford, a reasonable one, and then one that is in their proximity, because there are these deserts of no legal representation, or just having someone they can call to get their legal issues addressed. So absolutely, there is a void, and it just takes knowledge and investment to keep that, to fill that void, so folks can get their issues addressed fairly.
Thank you for clearing that for me. Now,
Yeah.
last question. I hate to see you go, but I know you gotta go. Why should the voters support Cara Connors for your honor versus your opponents?
Wow. So I try to focus on Cara. This whole race has really brought into perspective who I am as an individual, and why I get up and fight every day. But I really just want to be the change I want to see. And like I said, that seems, cliche, but it is true. I fight for people's rights on a day-to-day basis, and I know what it feels like to lose. I mean, I've won cases and that's part of my reputation precedes me, and that's why I have so much support for this position. But I have lost, and especially cases where I thought I should have won. I've lost where I knew that the judge did not listen, or that the judge had already knew the answer, or knew what they were going to do before I even walked into the courtroom. And so I want to change that. I have over a decade of experience. I've litigated in every courtroom in Pulaski County. I have litigated all over the state. I have represented individuals charged with your petty, misdemeanors up until your capital murders. I've represented fathers, mothers, business owners, claimants against businesses. I've been a prosecutor. Now I'm a criminal defense lawyer. I've represented folks on the state and federal level. I've sat as special judge in the absence of elected officials when they can't hear their cases. So I have the proven record, I have the experience, and I know what it's going to be the next judge. I know what is necessary and what needs to be brought to the table to be the next 12th Division Circuit Court judge. And so I'm bringing my life experiences as well as my legal experiences, and I'm going to use that to make balanced and fair decisions, and using my discernment and coupling that with compassion and equity to make good decisions for people. And so that is why I think you should vote Cara Connors on May 24th, and early voting starts May 9th. But and I don't want to compare, but I would say that in my decade of experience outweighs my opponent's 20 years of experience. And so, check my resume, ask any judge that I've practiced in front of, and they will tell you Cara Connors is an excellent, stellar lawyer. So I'm just hoping to take that to the next level. So.
And I really feel like you will. There you have it, Spillers. You've heard it from the voice herself. I am Team Cara Connors for your honor. And Spillers, if y'all hadn't heard, y'all just heard. She's spoken the truth. She explained her reasoning behind running for this position. She's experienced, she's passionate, she's compassionate, she's dedicated about this, and it's for a reason. And I really do believe that you're the best woman for this job, Attorney Connors. I'm super excited for you. I am praying for you. I am rooting for you. I told you where I was registered to vote.
Yeah.
So I made sure I'm in my neighborhood, because y'all were in my neighborhood a few weeks ago on Broadway, 26th Broadway. My grandmother's house has been there for 60 years. There was a couple of houses there from Kobe's. So I'm like, ready. We're ready to vote for you all. May 9th is early voting. Spillers, don't wait until the last minute. If you're like me, you like to get it over with. My parents, and my dad is retired. My mama goes with him. She takes off work on voting day, but they likes to go on election day. I like to go early because of my job and my kid stuff. But make sure you vote, Spillers. It's imperative. It's something that is necessary. Again, you heard Attorney Connors. This is the season, you hear me, for Black women, and we're not stopping, but we still need your help. We need help from our community. Again, thank you so much, Attorney Connors. I'm praying with you. I am praying for you. And I appreciate you for joining us today.
I'm so thankful. And thank you, Spillers, for listening, tuning in, and vote Connors for your honor. Election day, May 24th, early voting, May 9th.
There you have it.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, darling.
Yeah.
It's a wrap.
That's so good. I love it.
Thank you. So when I release it Tuesday, I'll just forward you the
the link.
link, from Apple Podcasts. Thank you.